Before 1934, there was no such thing as a 30-year-old mortgage. You want to buy a house, you put 50% down and paid it off in 5 years. Then, the government invented a new system. They created a new federal agency backed by a brand new loan product and made home ownership available for millions of Americans. Sounds like a good thing, right? It was, if you were white. Because when the federal government designed the modern mortgage, they didn't just decide how the loan would work. They decided we could use it, and they wrote it down in official manuals with maps. So today I'm going to show you those maps, the actual policy, the actual numbers, because the wealth gap in America didn't just happen by accident. It was designed on purpose with taxpayer money. Alright, to understand how the mortgage system became what it is, you need to see what it replaced. Before 1934, buying a house in America was a completely different game. In the 1920s, a typical loan home required a 50% down payment, not 20, not 10, half the price of the house up front, in cash. The loan term was 5 to 10 years, and you only paid interest during those years. At the end of the term, the entire principal, the full remaining balance was due, all at once. They call it a balloon payment. Now think about what that means. If you're a factory worker in 1928 and you buy a $5,000 house, you need $2,500 cash. Then you pay interest for 7 years. Then you own the remaining $2,500 all at once. If you can't pay, the bank takes the house. You lose everything. Then 1929 happens. The Great Depression didn't just crush the stock market, it crushed the housing market. Bank failed, borrower defaulted. Between 1930 and 1933, roughly 1,000 homes were foreclosed every single day. 1,000 families every day for 3 years, losing their homes because the system was designed to collapse under pressure. So, in 1934, the Franklin Roosevelt administration did something unprecedented. They created the Federal Housing Administration, FHA, and fundamentally changed how Americans buy homes. The new system, low down payment, long repayment terms, fixed interest rates, government-backed loans, so banks will actually lend. The 30-year mortgage was born, and it worked. Ownership skyrocketed, entire suburbs were built. The American middle class expanded like never before. But there was a catch, and the catch was written in the system from day one. The FHA didn't just create a new loan, they created an underwriting manual, a guidebook that taught banks where to lend, and more importantly, where to lend. In that manual, in actual government policy, they taught banks to avoid neighborhood with, and I'm going to use the exact language here, unharmonious racial groups. This was called redlining. The Homeowner Loan Corporation, another New Deal agency, created color-coded maps of every major American city. Green meant best, safe for investment. These were white, affluent neighborhoods. Blue meant still desirable. Yellow meant declining. And red meant hazardous. These were neighborhoods with black residents, immigrants, Jewish communities, marked with a red line. Denied access to a government-backed loans. Now here is what this meant. If you live in a green zone, you got the new 30-year mortgage, lower down payment, fixed rate, government backing. If you live in a red zone, you got nothing. No FHA loan, no government backing. The bank wouldn't touch you. And it wasn't because of your income, your job, or your credit. It was because of your address. And your address was determined by your race. Between 1934 and 1962, the federal government underwrote $120 billion in housing loans. Do you know how much of that went to non-white families? 2%. $120 billion in government-backed wealth building, and 98% of it went to white families. And it wasn't just the FHA. After World War II, the GI Bill promised returning veterans low-cost mortgages for everybody who served. In Mississippi, of 3,229 VA homes loans guaranteed in 1947, exactly 2 went to black veterans. 2 out of 3,229. These weren't accidents. These weren't regional quirks or rogue official. This was the system working exactly as it was designed. The 30-year mortgage was the greatest wealth building tool in American history, and it was built with a racial filter. And someone watching this might say, that was 80 years ago. Redlining was banned. The Fair Housing Act passed in 1968. It's over. Technically, legally, that's true. Redlining as official policy ended. But wealth compounds. So does the lack of it. Here is how compounding works. A white family buys a home in 1950s with an FHA loan. They pay $8,000. By 1980, that home is worth $80,000. By 2024, it's worth $350,000 or more. That's just not a house. That's a college fund. That's a small business loan. That's an inheritance. That's a down payment for the next generation. Now, here is the family that was redlined. They couldn't get a FHA loan. They ran it, or they brought on contract. Predatory agreement with no equity, where one missed payment meant losing everything. By 1980, they have no home equity, no asset to borrow against, no inheritance to pass down. By 2024, that gap hasn't closed. It's wider than ever, and that brings us to today. In 1960, the median home price was about twice the median household income. You made $5,000 a year, your house cost $10,000. It was hard, but it was reachable. Today, the median home price is 5 times the median household income. You make $75,000. Your house costs $390,000. And that's just the national average. In cities like LA, San Francisco, New York, it's 7, 8, 9 times income. And here is one number that ties it all together. The median white family in America has roughly $188,000 in net worth. The median black family has roughly $24,000 in net worth. That's an 8-to-1 gap. And researchers consistently trace the single largest driver of that gap to one thing: home ownership. Who got access, who didn't, and when? The wealth gap didn't happen because one group worked harder than the other. The wealth gap happened because one group was given a government-backed building tool, while the other was systematically excluded from it for 30 years, by design, with public money. So that's the history. What about right now? Because even if you're not directly affected by redlining, the housing system today has its own problem. And they're all connected to the same design philosophy: build a system that benefits some people while costing everyone else. Today, the average 30-year mortgage at current rates means you pay nearly double the original price of your home in interest alone. Buy a $400,000 house, by the time you're done paying, you spend over $750,000. The bank makes more on your house than you do, and will benefit from high housing prices. Not for some home buyers, not renters trying to save up. The people who benefit are the people who already own property. Existing homeowners see the portfolio climb. Real estate investors, including massive corporate landlords, see the portfolio grow. BlackRock, Invitation Homes, American Homes for Rent. These are corporations buying tens of thousands of single-family homes, not to live in, to rent back to you. So, you have a system that was originally designed to exclude by race. That exclusion created a wealth gap that compounds every generation. And now, on top of that, you have a market where the price of entry keeps rising while wages stay flat. The ladder got pulled up, and they raise a roof. Okay, so the system was rigged from the start. What do you actually do with that information? Same answer as last time. You play the game and you understand the game. Step 1. Understand the real cost of a mortgage before you sign. Don't just look at the monthly payment. Calculate the cost over 30 years. There are free calculators on the internet. Bankrate, NetWallet, even Google. Know exactly how much money you're paying on interest. Then ask, is there a 15-year-old option? Can I make extra payment on the principal? What does refinancing at a lower rate actually saves me over the life of the loan? Step 2. Research first-time buyers programs. Most people don't know these exist. FHA loans still exist. You can get in with 3.5% down. Most states offer first-time home buyers assistance program. Most cities have grants for first-time home buyers. The information is out there. It's just not advertised because nobody benefits from you knowing about this. Step 3. Stop comparing yourself to your parents' generation. When someone says just save up or stop buying lattes, remember the math. In 1960s, a home cost twice your salary. Today, it costs 5 times your annual salary. Your parents didn't have better discipline. They just had a different economy. That's not an excuse to give up. That's context. And context matters because it's the difference between thinking the problem is you and knowing the problem is the system. Step 4. The next time someone says just save for a down payment, show them this video. Seriously, share it. Not because I want views, because the single most powerful thing you can do against a system that runs on ignorance is make people aware of how it works. The housing system wasn't built in the dark, it was built on broad daylight, with official policy and government money. The least we can do is talk about it in broad daylight too. The 30-year mortgage was one of the most transformative financial tools ever created. It built the American middle class. It created generational wealth. It turns renters into owners and owners into inheritors. And from the very first day, it was designed to decide who counted as American enough to use it. That decision echoes in every wealth statistic, every housing price, every neighborhood boundary you see today. The system has changed on paper, but the math hasn't caught up. Last video, I told you your credit score was a social control system. This time, I'm telling you the house you're trying to buy sits on top of a policy that was designed to decide who gets to build wealth in this country and who doesn't. That's the receipt. I'll see you in the next one.